to Chef Richard's Kitchen. I'm Chef Richard Miller. Well, autumn is here and actually it's getting on towards winter. The trees are probably in their peak of color right now, and the crops are pretty much coming in for the annual harvest. And about this time, I almost start thinking of gourds. And gourds can be anywhere from squash to pumpkins to the gourds you always hung on the fence out there. Any of those. And by far, the vast majority of them are extremely good when they're eaten. And so what I want to do on this episode is I want to take an acorn squash. You see these all the time in the grocery store, and they're absolutely delicious. They're probably one of my favorite squash or gourds, and I like to fix them. Fortunately, they're around any time of the year nowadays, but I absolutely love to fix them. Pumpkins are also edible, as our butternut squash, and I want to do episodes on all of those just so I can show you how to go ahead and do that. For today, on our episode, I'm going to use acorn squash. And I'm going to make these two ways. Number one is by far the simplest way. You just go ahead and cook it, salt, pepper, and then you can go ahead and put some butter in there, put some brown sugar in there if you like. I just use salt and pepper in mine. If you want, you can take and put raisins in there, dried cherries that you've rehydrated, just about any kind of fruit. Apples, although here is one thing. If you're going to put fruit in there, and we're going to do this with a stuffing on the second batch, if you're going to put fruit in there, go ahead and cook the fruit separately, and when these are done, then go ahead and put the fruit in there and just warm them. And the reason is, if you put the fruit in raw, in the squash raw, the fruit will probably be burnt to a crisp before the acorn squash is even more than started to soften up. Ask me how I know this. And so go ahead and do that in two phases. The second way we're going to fix our acorn squash is I want to make a stuffing for them. And I'm going to make kind of an autumn stuffing. It's actually made with some mild Italian sausage, some walnuts in there, I'm using pecans this time. And that's just add a little bit of crunch, a little change of texture in there. Some onion, some mushrooms, and I'm just using these little baby bella mushrooms that I've chopped up. Some salt, probably a couple of teaspoons of Italian herbs, and some pepper. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to make, while the squash is baking, we're going to go ahead and make the stuffing. Then, like I said, we're going to take them, put them both together, put a little cheese on top of them, just flash them under the broiler or in the oven a little bit to melt the cheese, and you're done. It's either a side dish or a main course, depending on how you want to do it. Anyway, to prepare your squash, and I've already done these, what you do is you first take this little stem and just use your thumb and push it off. Very easy. Next thing is go ahead and put them on a cutting board, run a knife down through them like this. All right? And last of all, take a spoon and spoon out the seeds. Now, are they like any other seeds, pumpkin seeds or whatever? Can you eat them? I suppose you could boil them in water and dry them out, or salt water and dry them out. They'd probably be okay. I've never tried them. So, if you do try them, and they come out good, leave me a comment. If you try them and they don't come out good, leave me a comment. I'm always happy to hear from any of my viewers on what they try. In fact, I hope they try a lot of these recipes that I'm giving you. All right, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're just going to take our squash and we're going to just put a little bit of kosher salt on them. Let them sit there for just a minute so that the salt will actually attach to these, because we're going to cook them upside down. Put a little pepper in them. Alright, and now turn them upside down and put them in a baking dish. I took this baking dish and I sprayed it with the old vegetable spray that I always use on about everything. Alright, so go ahead and put these cut side down, and then let's go over to the stove. I have it preheated at 375 degrees. We're going to go ahead and put these in for probably 40 to 50 minutes, something like that. Now, they're the easiest things in the world to tell when they're done. You just take a knife and stick it in the shell. If it goes in very easily, it's done. If it doesn't, it still needs some more time. So let's go to the stove. Alright, I've gone ahead and it's preheated to 375 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and put these in the oven. And here's a little trick right here. Alright, just take a little water, and you don't need much. That's probably 3/4 of a cup. Go ahead and place that in the baking pan, and let's set this for about 40 minutes. Alright, we went ahead and we put some water in the baking sheet, to kind of keep them hydrated a little bit. I went ahead and I set the timer for about 40 minutes. They might not be done at that point. In fact, I'm probably guessing they're going to need a little bit more time. But once again, I'd rather put my knife in and find out it needs a little more time than open up the oven and find them just flat, baked to a pulp. So I set it for 40 minutes. We'll be back. We'll check them again. Don't go away. Alright, while the squash is baking in there, let's go ahead and let's start our stuffing. And I want to start out, and I've just put this on so it's not real hot yet. I want to let it heat up just a little. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our pork in. And this is it's a pound of mild Italian sausage. If you want to use hot, fine. If you want to use sweet, fine. If you want to use ground beef, that's fine too. The only thing is ground beef doesn't have a lot of spices in it, so make sure you put a little extra salt, pepper, or any other kind of spices you want, just so you make sure that it has a good flavor. All right. Alright, now let's go ahead and let's fry up our sausage here, and as soon as this is done, I'll be putting the lid on this, so it'll actually heat up a little bit faster. But for now, we're just going to let it brown. The sausage is browned, and let's go ahead and let's put our onion That's just a common yellow onion. And our baby bella mushrooms. And now we're going to let these cook until the mushrooms wilt down and the onions turn a translucent. I'm going to sprinkle in a few of our pecans, not all of them. And the reason I'm not is because I wanted to give it a little contrast in texture, but I don't want, it to be something you have to chomp your way through. So I want to make sure there's not too much in there, but yet enough to change the texture a little bit, which is why I'm doing it in steps. Now I'm going to throw in a couple of teaspoons of an Italian herb mix. And what's an Italian herb mix? Now, it's oregano, basil, probably tarragon in there, rosemary and some other spices that I just really don't remember off the top of my head. But it's going to give it a more flavorful finish. Now, I'm not using anything other than just the spices in the Italian sausage here to really give it any heat. I'm using the Italian herbs to give it a little more balanced flavor, but nothing for heat. If you want a little more heat, after you try it, after you taste it, and remember, don't serve things to your guests that are real hot. A lot of people don't like them as hot as, you might think. You can put some cayenne pepper or red pepper flakes in there, and that'll work just fine. You could also use the hot Italian sausage, but here once again, I'm not real sure that might make it too spicy for some people. I think I'd rather use the mild and put a few red pepper flakes in there and just go up from there. All right, I just turned this down, and I'm going to and instead of having it on a wattage output on my induction, I'm setting it to 180 degrees. And what I'm going to do here is it's not enough to really boil, but it is enough, that it's going to go ahead and make the onions a little bit more translucent. And let's just go ahead. I'm leaving this off because it's going to tend to evaporate some of that water that's come out of the sausage and the onions. So I'm going to leave it uncovered, and let's just let it cook down like this for a little bit. Okay? See you in a little bit. Alright, the stuffing looks like it's cooked down very well. The mushrooms have shrunk down quite a bit. The onions are translucent. And let's go ahead and remember what I told you had to do. That's right, taste it. The Italian sausage is giving it a nice mild sausage flavor, but number one, I'm not getting the texture contrast that I wanted. So I'm going to put in a few more of the pecan pieces. Just a little bit of salt. And a little bit of pepper. Now remember, you season this to what you like and what you think your guests are going to like. And most importantly, what you think your guests are going to like. Because that's number one that you should be thinking about. All right. Makes all the difference in the world. Now, to me, that's the right heat. If you have your guests or people that really like spicier foods, I put a little bit of red pepper flakes in there. But remember, customize this to the guests that you're going to be serving. And this is probably just about right for the guests that I'd be serving. So, let's go ahead and we're going to take this off the heat right now, and I'm going to cover it again, and we're going to let it sit until the squash is done. Then we're going to go ahead and assemble, flash it again, to melt the cheese, and then we'll be done. So, looks like we got about 10 more minutes, something like that, so no sense in keeping you waiting. But don't go far. I'm going to be back. Okay, it's been 20 minutes since we put the squash in the oven. The timer's gone off, and let's go ahead and pull them out, and let's stick them with the knife, and let's see how well done they are. My guess is they probably won't be done all the way, but that's okay, because we don't want to overbake them. So if it doesn't go in all the way, then we're going to know we got to put them in for a little bit. Let me go over to the stove. Okay, let's go ahead and let's pull these out. Okay, let's take our knife here. I can slip it in, but it just isn't right. So let's go ahead and put it back in for about another 10 minutes. Okay, as you heard from over the detail camera, I went ahead and I pulled them out, I put the knife in, and although it did go in all the way, I did notice a little bit of resistance in there. So I'm going to go ahead and I put them back in there, and I'm going to set it for another 10 to 12 minutes. After that, they should be done, and we can go ahead and proceed. So, don't go far. Okay, it's been about another 10 minutes, and I went ahead and I stuck the knife in there, and it went in very easily and came out cleanly, so they're done. So let's go ahead and let's take them out of the oven, and we're going to take and we're going to prepare the first method, which is just simply, salt, pepper, a little brown sugar, etc. on there. So let me go to the oven. Okay, here we see our squash. Let me go ahead and I'm going to take one and I'm just going to go ahead and set this in a little cereal bowl. Okay, I've taken the one and I've set it in a little cereal bowl. Now, the easiest way, and this is for a side dish, the easiest way to prepare acorn squash is just after you've gone ahead and cooked it, let's just put a little butter in here. Sprinkle a little brown sugar. Just a little bit of salt. A little bit of pepper. And if you really want to do it up good where you have a little texture and you really want a little change of texture in there, take some of these pecans that we were using for the stuffed acorns and put them in there. This is a wonderful side dish. It's got a very good flavor. It's sweet. It has a good texture to it. And, you know, your guests will absolutely love it. Most people don't even think about acorn squash when they think about side dishes. I didn't until I actually had one. And ever since then, I've absolutely been hooked on them. Alright, now, we've gone ahead and we've done our just regular, plain acorn squash. Now let's go ahead and do our stuffing. So let me go ahead and grab these off the stove, and let's go ahead and put some stuffing in there. Alright, now I'm just going to put a little cheese on the top of it. Provided I can get in a cheese bag. Alright. Alright, now let's go ahead and let's put these back in the oven for just a couple of minutes so we can go ahead and melt the cheese that's on top of it. Alright, it's been just long enough to melt the cheese on the top, so let's go ahead and let's pull these out of the oven, and it's time to plate. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put just a little fresh parsley on them. That's all. They really don't need anything more. If you want to take a few of these little pecans, you know, and put them on the top, that's okay as well. But here we go. Here we have 2 acorn squash meals. This one here, just the acorn squash with some butter, brown sugar, salt, pepper on it, will make an absolutely excellent side dish. The stuffed one here that has the sausage and the onions and whatever in there, that's going to make an excellent entree. You know, you've heard of people serving like stuffed peppers or something like that. Go one better. Do a stuffed acorn squash. So, just a couple ideas you can use for squash. Go ahead and give them a try. I want to do them on pumpkin and butternut squash as well, since it's autumn. But go ahead, give this a try, and for heaven's sakes, let me know. Give me a comment, send me email, whatever and whatnot. If you like this episode and you like how they come out, give me a thumbs up. Even better, subscribe so you won't miss any of my episodes. In the meantime, once again and always, thank you for joining me for this episode. Take care, God bless, and remember, cooking should always, always be fun. We'll see you next episode. Bye for now.